I woke up one morning, checked my phone, and I see headlines all over the place saying Tony Robbins done became Muslim. And I just sat there like, Lord, what did I do this time? Now, look, I get it. I've been talking about Islam a lot lately. And every time a brother from the nation says something wise, or I quote something from the Quran, people think I didn't switch teams. But let me tell you something, man. This ain't about switching teams. This is about searching for truth. See, people forget I've been on this spiritual journey for years. I've had money, I've had fame, I've been on the top of the mountain and on the bottom of the valley. And let me tell you, when you hit that valley, you start looking for something real. I remember one time I was sitting alone after a show and this young Muslim brother came up to me. He said, Mr. Robbins, can I pray for you? And I said, well, go on ahead, son. He lifted his hands, whispered a dua, and I didn't understand a word he said. But when he finished, I felt peace. Real peace, like the kind that don't come from applause or money. And that's when I realized faith don't need a name tag. Truth don't care what label you wear. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a man who loves Jesus. Always have. But I've learned enough to know that Muslims love him too. Maybe even more than some church folks I know. And that right there, that humbled me. See, I grew up thinking Islam was something foreign, something distant. But the more I listened, the more I studied, the more I sat with Muslim folks, I saw faith, discipline, peace, and I started asking myself, how come the people we think are so different got the same values we keep preaching on Sunday? Let me tell you something. When I see a man stop what he's doing 5 times a day just to bow his head and say, God, you still in control, I can't hate on that. You ever seen the whole city pause for prayer? I saw that in Dubai. The call to prayer echo through there and everything got still. No honking horns, no rushing people, just peace. And I thought, man, imagine if we had that kind of discipline back home. Imagine if we paused the chaos to remember who made us. So yeah, when people ask me, Tony Robbins, you converting? I say, I'm converting every day to a better version of myself. I'm learning from Christians. I'm learning from Muslims. I'm learning from anybody who walks with God. That don't make me confused. That make me awake. I had a pastor friend call me, all serious. Tony, they say you done gone Muslim, man. What's happening? I told brother, if you actually sat down and talked with a Muslim, you'd realize they pray more than we gossip. And we both cracked up because truth is we spend too much time defending our religions and not enough time living them. What I've seen in Islam is a kind of humility that this world forgot. The kind that said, I ain't God, but I know who is. That's what moves me. That's what I respect. And if me saying that makes people wonder if I'm Muslim, then maybe that says more about them than it does about me. Sometimes God don't change your religion. He just expands your vision. He lets you see that the truth ain't trapped in one building, one book, or one people. It's everywhere in every heart that sincerely seeks him. So no, I didn't wake up one day and become Muslim. I woke up one day and started listening, really listening. And maybe for the first time in my life, I started hearing God through different accents. And you know what? He sounds beautiful in every language. I ain't out here trying to start no new religion. I'm just a man who realized that when someone bows their head to the same God you pray to, maybe you ain't enemies after all. I've been in show business for a long time. I've done seen bright lights, big crowds, money that'll make your head spin. But let me tell you something, man. All that glitters don't mean peace. You can be the loudest person in the room and still hear that quiet voice in your chest saying something's missing. And that's exactly what happened to me. Now, I've always been a man of faith. Ain't never been shy about that. But faith, it grows. And sometimes it grows in places you ain't expected. See, I started talking with some Muslim brothers. Good men, humble, soft-spoken, not trying to sell me nothing. They just say things that hit my heart. One day, one of them said, Brother Tony, do you know what the word Islam means? I said, yeah, I heard it means peace. He smiled, said, close. It means submission. But through that submission comes peace. And boy, that sat with me because all my life I've been fighting for control of my career, control of my image, control of what people say about me. But control is an illusion. And the more I fought, the more I realized peace ain't in control. It's in surrender. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't talking about giving up. I'm talking about letting God be God. That's the kind of surrender Islam talks about. And that hit me deep. I remember sitting on my porch one evening, sun going down, sky looking like a watercolor painting. And I started thinking about all the stuff I'd done. chase fame, respect, validation, all of it. And I realized I've been chasing what Muslims call dunya, the world, the temporary stuff, the stuff that fades faster than your phone battery. But then I looked at my wife. I thought about my grandkids and I said, if I died tonight, what would I really take with me? Not a car, not a trophy, not a check, just my deeds, just what I did for other people. That's it. And you know what's wild? That's the same thing the Quran says. Now listen, I didn't have to read Arabic to get the message. It was like God was talking in plain English. Tony, what you do for others, that's what you keep. And man, that shook me because I realized all this time I've been telling jokes to make folks laugh, but maybe God was using those laughs to heal somebody, to give them 5 minutes of relief in a hard day. That's service. That's worship. And that's what faith is supposed to do. But let me tell you where it got real. I was in South Africa a few years back. I'm sitting in the hotel lobby early one morning and I see this young Muslim man, maybe in his 22nd. He lays out a small mat on the floor right there in the corner. Didn't care who was watching. He faced a certain direction and started praying. Now, I've been around a lot of folks in my life, but I ain't never seen peace like that. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't rushing. He was talking to God like it was just the two of them. And something in me, man, something in me just broke. I thought, when was the last time I prayed like that? No cameras, no audience, just me and my Creator. That right there, that was the moment I stopped judging Islam and started listening to it. People think Islam is about rules. Nah, it's about reminders. You forget, it reminds you. You get lost, it redirects you. You fall, it don't cancel you. It lifts you back up. That's what touched me because I've been falling my whole life, man. But every time I get back up, that's grace. And grace don't belong to one religion. Grace is God's language. Now, I ain't gonna lie, some folks around me got nervous. They said, Tony, don't go too deep in that Muslim stuff. People are gonna start talking. I said, brother, they've been talking since the 90 seconds and I'm still here. But seriously, learn about another faith. If appreciating another way of serving the same God makes people uncomfortable, then maybe they ain't as faithful as they think they are. Let me tell you what I admire most about Islam. Accountability. These folks live like God is watching right now. You can feel it in how they talk, how they walk, how they treat people. And that ain't fear, that's love. They don't pray because they're scared of God. They pray because they miss God. Whoa, that line right there hit me. I met this older Muslim man in Chicago, owned a little grocery store, worked 16 hours a day. I asked him, brother, how you keep going like this? He said, because when I close my eyes at night, I want my Lord to be pleased. Simple. No sermon, no drama, just love, man. Pure, unconditional love. And that's when I realized religion ain't supposed to separate us. It's supposed to remind us that we all belong to the same source. You know, the Quran says, to you be your religion and to me mine. That ain't a verse about division. That's a verse about respect. And I wish more of us lived like that. Because let's be honest, we too busy arguing about who's right when the real question is, are you righteous? I've seen folks with crosses act like devils. And I've seen Muslims with beards shine like angels. It ain't about the label, it's about the life. And let me tell you something else. The way Islam honors women, that changed me too. That verse about paradise being beneath the feet of your mother, that's deep. That's real honor. We living in a world where folks can't even respect their mama. But Islam say your mother's the doorway to heaven. Man, that made me call my mama just to say thank you. So yeah, when people ask, Tony, are you Muslim now? I say this, I'm a man walking toward God with an open heart. If that looked like Islam to you, then maybe we're not as different as we think. Let me tell you what's really changed. I don't chase peace no more. I practice it. When I wake up, I thank God. When I eat, I thank God. When I laugh, I thank God. When I cry, I still thank God. That's Islam. That's Christianity. That's life. Because gratitude's a real religion. I ain't claiming perfection, man. I'm just trying to stay close to the one who made me. And if listening to Muslims helped me do that, then maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what God wanted. You know, when this whole Tony Robbins converted to Islam thing started flying around, I just sat back and smiled because people love to talk before they understand. I ain't mad though. I get it. When you see a man like me, loud, joking, been on TV for years, start talking about God in a different way. Folks don't know what to do with that. But let me tell you something. If your faith can't stand next to somebody else's and still shine, then maybe it ain't faith. I done met Muslims who pray 5 times a day, Christians who serve in soup kitchens, atheists who treat people with more kindness than some folks who sit in church every Sunday. And that's when I realized God don't belong to no religion, we belong to him. Now look, I grew up in church. My grandma made sure of that. She used to drag me to service so much, I thought Jesus was taking attendance. But the older I got, the more I realized faith ain't a routine, it's a relationship. And that's what I saw in Islam. See, Muslims, they don't just believe in God. They live like he right there in the room. Every move, every bite, every breath, they got purpose in it. And that right there, that's powerful. Now, I ain't saying I changed religions, but I did change the way I see God, because God ain't just my Sunday morning visit. He's my Monday problem solver, my Tuesday reminder, my Wednesday peacekeeper, my Thursday strength, my Friday forgiveness, and my Saturday reset. That's what Islam reminded me. Faith is daily. Faith is discipline. Faith is gratitude. I remember one Muslim brother told me, Tony, Islam is not about being perfect. It's about being sincere. That line right there, because I've been imperfect my whole life, but I've always been sincere about my love for God. And when I see Muslims bowing, touching their heads to the ground, I don't see ritual, I see surrender. I see a heart saying, God, I ain't in control, you are. And if that ain't beautiful, I don't know what is. You know what hit me the hardest? The day of judgment, how Islam describes it. That moment when everything stops and you stand alone with your creator. Ain't no fame, ain't no bank account, ain't no entourage, just you and your deeds. Man, that'll humble you real quick. And the more I thought about that, the more I realized every breath we get is a chance to make that meeting a little better. Now, don't get it twisted. I ain't walking around in a thobe changing my name to Robbins ibn Tony, but I am changing how I move. I talk softer. I listen longer. I think before I speak, because I learned from my Muslim brothers, silence can be worship too. You see, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, the best among you are those who are best to their families. And that right there stuck to my ribs, because I can host shows all day, make people laugh all night. But if I ain't good to my wife, if I ain't patient with my kids, then I fail. And that's a message every believer, Muslim or Christian, can learn from. When people ask me, Tony, are you Muslim? Now, I tell them this. If being Muslim means bowing my head to the same God who pulled me out of poverty, who forgave me when I didn't deserve it, who lifted me when I fell, then yeah, maybe I've been Muslim all along, because Islam ain't foreign. It's faith dressed in discipline. It's love practiced with action. You know, I had this moment not long ago. I was on set, lights everywhere, makeup, cameras, the usual. And I looked in that mirror and said, Tony, if this all ended today, would you still be proud of the man looking back? And that voice in me said, you getting closer. Not perfect, not holy, just closer. And that's all God ever asked for. Progress, not perfection. So to all the folks wondering, to all the blogs and tweets and YouTube titles saying Tony Robbins converted to Islam, let me clear this up right now. I ain't converted. I expanded. My heart got bigger. My respect got deeper. And my understanding stretched beyond borders. You can call me Christian. You can call me curious. You can call me confused. But as long as I keep calling on God, I'm good. Because at the end of the day, he ain't going to ask what you called yourself. He's going to ask how you lived. And that's why I say this. If a Muslim prays 5 times a day and I only pray once, I ain't here to judge him. I'm here to learn from him. If a Christian loves Jesus so deep it makes him feed the poor, I ain't here to compete. I'm here to walk beside him. Because truth don't divide, it multiplies. You know what I think heaven going to look like? Ain't no sign saying Muslims this way, Christians that way. It's just souls clean, humble, grateful, finally meeting the one they've been trying to reach our life. And when I get there, I don't want God to say, Tony Robbins, what religion were you? I want him to say, Tony Robbins, what did you learn about me? That's it. That's the truth. That's all I've been trying to say. So yeah, maybe I didn't become Muslim. Maybe I just stopped being blind. Because the more I see, the more I realize every sincere heart is already bowing. Man, If that's shocking to folks, then I guess the world still ain't ready for a man who loves God more than labels. But that's all right. I've been misunderstood my whole life, and God's been understanding me the whole time. That's enough for me. At the end of the day, religion ain't the question. The question is, did you love? Did you learn? Did you try?